If you're thinking about getting into model railroading or you're already an addict, boy, do we have a project for you. In this episode, we go over the top, starting right now. Hey, thank you for joining me today on It's My Railroad, the how-to show for regular people. We are so glad you're here. We've got a great show lined up that I know you're going to totally enjoy. Anyway, this channel is about model railroading from a regular person's perspective. Just regular people building a model railroad. We're having a lot of fun. We're learning a ton, and there's a huge community coming in around this channel. Just check the comments on any of our videos, or even hang out with us Saturday mornings on TrackSmack and be part of the chat. It's an amazing community, so if you're into that sort of thing, why don't you just go ahead and subscribe right now, and then don't forget to push that little bell icon so you can catch future videos. Hey, just before we get going, little reminder, we're like at 4,900 subscribers at the making of this video, on our way to 5,000 subscribers and our 5K giveaway raffle. Hey, the folks over at Midwest Model Railroad have hooked us up with $350 worth of gift certificates that you could win in our raffle. So here's the deal. Just go down in the description, take a look at how to enter, get in on it, and maybe you'll win. All right, just one more thing before we really get rolling here, and that is this. A couple of weeks ago, I told you that I looked at my track plan and I looked at the bench work and I was like, I think my eyes are too big for my stomach. I don't think I can get all of that in there. I can't get done everything I want to get done on the layout. So I went back, the last couple of weeks, I've been hanging out with AnyRail 6, negotiating with it and coaxing and nudging, and I got nothing. I don't know what I can get done on the inside part of the layout, but there's two things I do know. One of them is this. I need this long rail fanning train that I can run on the second deck. I just want to watch the train run and have some fun with it. That's kind of the reason for the second deck expansion, by the way. Secondly, I know I want this short switcher train that's going to come up through a 5% grade, up and around a helix, and right up on to the first deck, the top deck. So those are the two things we'll be concentrating on next couple of weeks. Once that's installed and we got the trains running, we'll look deep down in the middle and see how we can finish that out with some industry or some switching or something, all right? So that's the track plan idea. We're done talking about the track plan for now. Now we're just gonna get down to building it. Okay, rail fans, let's get into this. Today what we're gonna do is we're gonna cut out the plywood for the top of the second deck. We're gonna glue it and screw it down, and then we're gonna cover that with 3/4 inch styrofoam. Now, to answer the question that's sure to come up, Steve, why are you using white styrofoam? Well, here's the answer. Can't find the other stuff. Again, this time I'm like, I'm gonna find it somewhere and I'm gonna use it. Couldn't find it. So I'm back to using my old friend white styrofoam, and it's already causing a mess in the hobby room, but you know, that's just the regular guy way, at least in this house. So the rest of it I'm gonna tell you when we get into the hobby room, and I say we go in there right now. Hey, welcome back to the hobby room and to our second deck expansion, well underway. We have the shelf brackets installed. We have the frame bolted to the shelf brackets. We have the backdrop screwed to the frame. It's time to put in the plywood top that I'm gonna put on this sucker, all right? So let's just get right into it so we can get a bunch of work done today. This first piece I wanna do is this corner back here. Now, if you've been watching, we already know we don't need to measure this, okay? We've measured it like 5 times, okay? This thing is 4 feet by 3 feet by 24 inches by 28 inches. So to save us all some time, so you don't have to watch me cut yet another piece of wood, I'm gonna go outside, I'm gonna just get my skill saw, try not to lose a finger, vink, vink, get that done. We're gonna put it back in. All right, so back with the first piece, cut. Still got my fingers. Let's set this up here and see how it looks. I think that's gonna work. Ha, check me out. A very quick disclaimer, I suck at carpentry, all right? You have to know this. You've seen the backdrop, how it turned out. Even right here, the edges are not perfect. So I'm gonna call this rough carpentry. And then later on, we're gonna fix it with styrofoam, spackle, duct tape, whatever else we can to make it look pretty when we're done, I hope. So anyway, this seems to fit in here okay. So I think what we should do is we should go ahead and then get some glue on the framework. I'm gonna clamp it down and then drive some drywall screws in there. So to do that, let's just pull this back off, grab the glue. Now here's the thing with the glue. Right along this seam here and here, I don't want to put any glue because that'll glue this framework to that. Trying to take it apart someday, not gonna be easy. So well, let's get that last. Right now, just a very small bead running down there. We're gluing. Okay, why the glue? Let me talk to you about that when I'm putting this in. I have this thing that says if I glue it and screw it, it is going to be just strong. It'll add overall strength to the layout, making it that much more rigid and everything else. And like I said, I already have a little flimsy going on there, and so anything I can do to mitigate that, I'm gonna do. Yes, I said mitigate. I don't know if that's a regular guy word, but it's mine. All right, enough talking, we got glue drying. So set this down where I want it. Slide it around. That looks pretty good. Let's get the drywall screws and the screw gun. Let's screw this down. I got the drywall screws and the screw gun, then it occurs to me I don't exactly know where the framework is in the middle. Well, that's certainly an interesting development. I hadn't thought of that. I need to get a tape measure and figure out where that beam is while the glue's drying. Hold on a second. Well, it looks like an even 2 feet, so that's going to be pretty easy to do. Let's just start with one edge, work our way around, kind of carpentry school style. We'll start right here. Make sure everything's the way we like it. Just keep driving them screws. And then we come out 24 inches, like we said. There should be a piece of wood right under that screw. Yep. Sometimes it's better to be lucky than good. All right, well, battery just died. So let's do this. The batteries are out where the saw is. So I'll get a new battery. We'll finish screwing this down. But while I'm out there, let's get this next piece cut. And the thing is, I'm going to have to show you this one outside when I cut it because it's going to have the radius in it. I just want to show you how I cut that. So why don't we just scoop up all this gear, head outside, look at that, and then we'll come back and finish installing these two pieces. To make this next piece, we're going to start off making one that's 50 inches by 28 inches, and then I'll show you what we're going to do after that. Pretty simple stuff, just like before. Now I can grab my support behind the blade. And go for a little bit more. All right, we set that piece aside. Now here's the thing that I really brought you out here to see. So let me move you a little closer so we can see how I do this. Okay, like I've been saying, we want to put a 28-inch diameter curve in here where the track curves around on this bottom deck. And there's a way to do that that I learned from watching somebody's video. I don't know, I didn't invent this, but I know I want it to 28 inches, and so half of 28 is 14. That'll give me the radius, right? For those of us who need a math refresher, me being one of them. So anyway, here's what I like to do. I'll start here at 14. And I'll go down this side 14. Like that. Then we come across with the square. You see where these intersect. Like that. That should be 14 by 14. And it is. And now we get to draw the arc. And to do that, we're going to use this homemade compass thing that I have. This is a yardstick right here. And it's already got measurements on it. This one actually is set for a 14-inch radius or a 14-inch diameter turn. We need a 28-inch, so I need to shoot a new hole in this. But I start at the 1 mark, which means you've got to add 1 to wherever you're going. So if I was looking for 7, I would have to add it to 8 to add 1 more since we're starting there. But the effect is to take something and stick it down in here against the wood, take your pen, and just go like that, and we're making this pretty decent arc, just boom, like that. But we need to modify this one, so let me get my drill out here and we're going to modify it real quick. Since I use a pen to do this, and since pencils have a point to them, let's see, 14, so we're going to go to 15 inches. I'll show you. First I make a hole right on the mark, like that. But then so the pen or whatever will fit in there, put a bigger bit on and open that up a little bit, but do it backwards. So then we take it and put the mark on here, and we make sure that these dimensions are going to work. It looks like it's a little off for some reason. That looks pretty good right there. Something like that. We have an arc in there now. I can just take my jigsaw and cut along that. I'm going to save this piece because in the corners, the other corners that turn the other way, I'm going to take this and maybe use it to round those corners out since it's the same diameter. So let me get my jigsaw here. We'll just cut that out. There we go. We've got the curve part done. I think I can stick this into a corner and have a curve going that way. We're going to see how that goes. Let's take this in, sit it on the layout, and see what happens. All right, back with my new battery and the new piece of wood we're going to put in. First thing I'm going to do is finish screwing this in before the glue dries up too much more. All right, so we get the glue again, glue it down, screw it down, and just keep on going. Well, am I fast or what? Okay, or what? But anyway, we got the plywood screwed down to the top of the framework. It looks pretty good, feels pretty solid. Really liking it. There's one other thing I added that I want to show you real quick, and it's down here. I went ahead and took the plywood piece we cut out from the other 2 radiuses, stuck it in here in the corner, and then screwed some bracing underneath it to sort of hold it in place. I think it's going to give me a nice curved edge right there for when we come back up to here and we put the styrofoam on. Which reminds me, let's get right to putting the styrofoam on. Now, you're going to ask this question. Steve, why are you putting on styrofoam? Okay, listen, a couple of things here. There are some people who will just do their frames and then only put the plywood where their track goes with the elevation and grade changes and stuff. That's called open bench work. And it's a style that people use, a technique, and lots of people do it. I like the flat plywood version. There are other people who will just put maybe a 1-inch styrofoam piece across the top of that. And They'll do that because they want to sort of carve up the styrofoam and make some scenery. And, so there's different ways of doing it. I would suggest you look around on some other videos and see how other folks are doing it, see what really seems like it's going to work for you. The reason I put up the 1/2 inch plywood and then the 3/4 inch styrofoam on top of it is like threefold. One of them is I've got this plywood here that's not exactly super smooth. It's got knot holes, it's got imperfections. When I lay the styrofoam on top of that, it makes a nice smooth surface. I also have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 10 seams on this layout that, in spite of my best efforts, they just seem to be not quite flush. But by putting the styrofoam on top, and I'm gonna have one seam over here, by putting that on top, it'll just sort of make it all flat. As long as I get that right, I'm good to go. Another reason I'll put the styrofoam down is something I learned over in Switch Junction, and that is this. Once I start laying track and roadbed and stuff, I can stick pins right down in the styrofoam to hold everything in place. It's a little different trying to put the pins down into plywood or something. It makes it a little difficult, and just kind of the regular guy way, that's how I'm gonna do it. I enjoy doing it that way. Also, if I ever want to change the elevation, maybe put a culvert under the track, blah, 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 anything like that, real easy just to hog out some styrofoam and make it happen. The final benefit is the sound deadening quality of the styrofoam. It's gonna kind of quiet down some of the road noise that we get from our locomotives. There's some chugging, clacky that we want to get on our railroads, but some of that sort of sound, which is the best I can do as an impression, some of that we want to get rid of, and that helps me do it quite a bit. So what I'd like to do now is go ahead and get one of my 4x8 sheets of 3/4 inch styrofoam, lay it up here, mark it out, and cut it to sort of move us towards finishing topping off this sucker. So anyway, I've got the first 4x8 sheet of styrofoam up here on the layout, and as you can see in this tiny little hobby room, hard to get a real good shot of it, but there you go. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my pen and go underneath the layout, and I'm gonna just trace along where all that plywood is, and then I'll take it outside and cut it. And what I'll do is I'll just take a little scrap piece and kind of show you how I mark it and cut it, something that's a little easier to see than this. But for right now, I'm just gonna go into there and mark all this out, and then we're gonna cut it. Okay, see how we have that line on there right now, just like I marked underneath the styrofoam. Go ahead and I'll just take my X-Acto knife and just at an angle, just cut through this. Now I leave the backing on both sides of this white styrofoam, okay? I got the silver backing here and I got this other kind of backing here. Interestingly enough, while it's not exactly like the sort of purple and blue stuff people use, once I score that, I can still snap it. It just has kind of an ugly edge in there that we have to deal with later. But once I do, I can run in there and just cut along there, like that. What I'm left with is a silver piece and a white piece, and then it's a matter of just peeling this stuff off. Kind of like that. Just comes right off. And boom, we've got styrofoam that we're going to put on the layout. So now what I want to do is go ahead and cut out the big pieces. We'll put them on there, and then we'll come take a look at it. All right, so the styrofoam is in, but it's not glued down yet, and here's why. In my opinion, once I get back along through here and around and over to the helix complex, I'm going to want to put some supports in for elevation changes, etc., that I want to stick down to the plywood, not really on the styrofoam. So what I'd like to do in our next episode is start laying out the track plan on the styrofoam and see where I need to cut out the base part of the styrofoam. Once that's done, we'll just glue it down and start laying track, and it's gonna be a lot of fun. I can't wait to get to it. So other than that, I say we just head back into the studio right now. And we're back in the studio, and there it is. I got the plywood top on, we got the styrofoam on. It really looks good, it's really sturdy, and it's very exciting right now. Next week what we're gonna do is we're going to draw the track plan out on that styrofoam, and then we're gonna cut out pieces of it we don't need. I'll tell you about that part later. And then the following week, I think we can lay some track That is going to be awesome. So listen, this is the kind of stuff we do here on Sidetracked, It's My Railroad, and Track Smack, all three of our shows. So, if you're into that kind of thing, why not just go ahead and subscribe, and then make sure you like and share this video with somebody. Don't forget to connect with us during the middle of the week on Instagram and Facebook. And I really thank you a ton for spending this time with me today. My name is Steve Brown. Rail on, my friends.